All right, I'm going to call the meeting to order, and we are being recorded. This is the meeting for the Mendon Board of Health for Wednesday, March 12th, 2025. We will do roll call, please.
Tom Fitzner here.
Joyce Gilmore here.
Jack McClellan here.
Colleen Straponi here.
Alan Greenberg here. Gaines all here. We're going to move on to good and welfare for the public, and we're going to take you in this section.
Okay, hi, how are you doing?
Very good.
So you were talking about the cleanup there a little bit, and we've done it every year, but it's so sort of random. Like one of us will go see all the garbage in the road, and then we'll say, oh, let's pull it together. And there's a lot of people that volunteer and do their different parts, but I think it would be nice to have it like in a office of like a, of the town in like a paid, where there's a paid person. And so I was wondering if the Board of Health might take the organization on and just be like the point person. I know in the past you paid for the advertisements, and that's super helpful, but there's really not a lot to do to organize it because everybody's set in place. Like Custom Homes will take the bags and the gloves, and then people pick them up over the time period. Earth Limited used to do the posters, but Jack, that was a great poster you did, and it was such a fast turnaround, which is really nice. So that's nice to have it in-house. But I think Earth Limited might donate some tickets because I think the Lions Club wants to do a scavenger hunt to have more people come to the kickoff. Usually we coordinate with Upton, and they pay for half of the ad that goes in the paper. So, and then Highway, they're great. They said that they would pick up the yellow bags, over that time period, and they're fine with that. So everybody kind of has their part that they do. It would be nice to have someone that would organize it every year so we know what happens.
Any idea what happened last year? I understand it was kind of a low turnout.
Yeah, I don't know why. I'm not sure. I mean, since COVID, well, what used to happen is like we'd have one day when we do the cleanup, and then if it rained or it was a horrible weather, no one would come. And so then during COVID, we had to do everything remotely, and we did it over a time period. And we really liked the way that worked because then people could fit it in their schedule. And if they had like an organization, like a scout group, they could, pick a day. But the kickoff that the Lions have, there's not as many people that attend. So they want to do something to encourage people to come. Like they were thinking of a scavenger hunt.
Okay. When and where normally is the kickoff held?
At Clough School.
Okay.
And then they hand out like bags and gloves, and then, have food afterwards. And they've been great about doing that.
Who is they?
Excuse me?
Who is they?
The Lions Club. In
Oh.
terms of the Lions Club does the kickoff day. Custom Homes has the bags and the gloves. Highway will donate some bags. I donated gloves last year.
You have those pickers in that they use?
The what? No, we didn't. We haven't had the pickers. We actually just tell people to, just wear gloves. And, if I mean, it's not a bad idea, like on the kickoff day, to have some of those to give to people, because they are handy. But they used to hand those out and then try to get them back afterwards. And actually the corridor, the Blackstone corridor, sometimes they have those pickers. And if we have it on a day when no one else are using them, they lend them to the town.
And who on the Upton side is the counterpart in the program?
Well, there was a woman that I used to work with, but she's not doing it anymore. So, excuse me. But I was going to contact. Well, she's actually going to contact the Board of Health to see if they could be like the counterpart in Upton. They've always paid for the ad, so they seem like the logical group.
So that would be a natural connection if we were to take it on here. be nice to have the Board of Health in Upton, maybe be the counterpart in Upton and
Yeah.
work together.
Well, I can talk to Diane if you like. I know Diane.
That'd be great. Yeah.
I can give her a call tomorrow and see, take the temperature. I'll do that in.
Okay,
I
great.
work with Diane and Trish regularly,
Uh-huh.
and I'll ask her and I'll let you know.
All right.
What's a normal date you usually target in to
Well,
kick off?
we try to do it like around Earth Day. So the dates that we picked, I think it's the 12th to the 25th. It's on the poster that Jack made. Goes over Earth Day, and it also covers 3 weekends, which is nice. So it starts on a Saturday and ends on a Sunday.
Okay, so it's not the whole month of May.
No, it's like I think it was the 12th to the 27th.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But even like if the Board of Health, had on their calendar, end of February, beginning of March, okay, let's talk about the cleanup, and then send an email out to people, and then everybody can do their thing, and then if people had questions, they would have somewhere at the town where they could call a number and ask a question, and then, Jack could answer the phone.
Jack, you answer the phone?
That isn't funny.
I'm only kidding, folks.
If he doesn't, we come down and knock on his door. What do you think, Jack? I mean, you know what your workload is.
Yeah, well, it shouldn't be that much work that I'm dealing with right now, so at the end of February, just put on the calendar and, like I said, Upton, we work with Upton hand in hand,
Alright.
so I think I could handle it.
Okay,
I'll pitch in.
The colleagues can help.
all right. And are you gonna be available as a resource
Oh,
for
yeah.
us to reach out to? Only
Yeah,
we've
and I mean,
haven't
all the people
gone through the
that,
procedure before.
I'm sorry, say that again?
We haven't gone through this procedure before, so
Mhm.
we don't wanna miss anybody.
Yeah, I mean, there's already an email train going that Jack is on, and Custom Homes will put the bags out and the gloves out during that time period. Lions Club, I think they picked the first date, the April 12th, they could do the kickoff. We're trying to find out about the Upton Board of Health. The ad, I think it's nice to put it in print, and I looked up half-page ads in the free press, and they give us a discounted price because we're, volunteers and everything. So it would be, it's $4.99 for a half page, but it would be, $2.50 if we split it between Upton, which they've done in the past, so they would do it again.
Okay. Do you know what I know somewhere along the line, I had heard that, because of the low turnout, there was an abundance of bags, and like someone like Custom Home was hanging on to them. Do we have any idea if there is a need to purchase more?
Yeah, I think they had bags, and I think Highway said they would give 100. So I don't know. Like, what I'll do is tomorrow I could add you to the email thread, and then the Board of Health members if you want, and then you can find out about that.
Okay, because usually on an annual basis, my company donates bags.
Yep.
So, but if it's not needed this year, then I would use my resources to help someone else. That's why
Okay.
I'm asking that question. And I remember last year somewhere in the email thread that there was an abundance left over, and it was decided that Custom Home was just gonna hang on to them.
They did hang on to them, and I'm
yeah.
not sure how many there are, so
Okay.
I'll go look into that. Yeah, and the other thing is also then Dan also plays a big part because he has the webpage, and he'll put the poster on there, and then people from Mendon and Upton can go there to sign up for a street, and there's information on the kickoff day, and it has other information like be careful of poison ivy, this is what it looks like, and if you can bring your own gloves, and that type of thing.
Okay.
Maybe we could use one, have you ever used one of those message boards just like put it down by the highway department as far as townwide cleanup day? might get people's attention.
Yeah, well, we put it on the marquee that's on Founder's Park.
Okay,
And the Lions Club's there, yeah. That flashing sign, I don't like to put out unless it's like an emergency, because it's, not that attractive. And then if it's put out too much, people won't notice it when there's really an emergency,
mhm.
But, but any other message board that is around town, yeah, we could put it up in.
The senior center has one too, a message board that
True, yeah, I could contact them.
I,
All right, Jack,
So is the board good with me, or the board taking over?
if it won't clog you up, I'm good with it.
Especially with Colleen's help.
Same, as long as it doesn't, add unduly to your schedule or what you do, and
I don't think so.
We can fit it in.
okay. I mean, only because
you can always drag us.
at this state, we need to get on it right away, especially if we're gonna place an ad. Or if there are things that need to be ordered, there's some lag time there. So,
Yeah, I can coordinate the ad, that part of it. And Jack's been doing the poster already, so. They'll have to be like if, you donated bags and your logo would have to go in the poster and those kinds of things, but it's kind of in motion.
okay,
what's the food element like, Ann? What does that consist of?
Did you say what's the food element like?
You mentioned food being served up there, that like on the.
Yeah, burgers, dogs, potato chips, a bottle of water, right?
Yeah, something like that.
That's the Lions truck, or they do that?
The Lions Club does the food, yeah.
Okay.
And will that be up at the park, the parks,
Clough School.
or at the Clough School?
All right then,
Cool.
All right.
we're in.
Good, great. All right.
Thank you, Lynn.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for contacting the Upton Board of Health and let
Yeah,
us
I'll
know.
let
how
you
it's-
know.
Okay,
I'll let you
All right.
know. I'll talk to Diane tomorrow.
okay, great. Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Have a nice night.
All right. Anything else, under good and welfare for the public? Doesn't look like we have.
You want to be honest?
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna move on to new business. Board of Health minutes review and approval for January 8th, February 12th, and February 26th. Tom sent us a nice email with some suggested revisions. So we have those separately, and we have the minutes that Jack generated. They're highlighted with the additions and corrections. Is everybody good with those? Do we have any discussion? And again, we're working on January 8th.
I'm good.
You better be.
Yeah, okay.
All right, the only thing that I will say is I always appreciate your attention to detail and your corrections. You're very well written. I just want to make sure that we're not getting away from what I felt was the definition of minutes as being minutes of the meeting. In this particular case, and they're all very important topics, we definitely went back to a lot more detail. We had kind of shortened them up a little bit for a while. I can see in situations like this where those details in print could be very helpful in someone understanding what happened and how it happened. And in other situations, it won't be needed.
Right.
So again, I just want to make sure that we're not going backwards and providing a lot more in print than is necessary. Any comments from anyone else?
No, I agree though.
Okay, all right, so we'll take a vote to approve Wednesday.
That's the treasurer. No,
Oh, Tracy?
and her dog. I wasn't expecting this one.
Got my attention.
Move that we accept the minutes of the Wednesday, February 12th.
What, January?
January 8th.
Oh, January 8th.
I'm sorry, Joyce.
Sorry. I was ahead of myself. January 8th minutes are approved.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Tom, aye?
Here's aye.
Alan, aye. And again, thank you for the presentation. It was very easy to follow along with having both documents. Now we'll move on to Wednesday, February 12th of 25. I have nothing additional on those particular minutes. Joyce or Tom?
I already said I was going to do it.
All right.
I was ahead of it.
Sorry, feel free to repeat yourself. I bring it all the time.
I recommend that we
Well,
approve.
well, first we're gonna give Tom an opportunity.
Well, the only thing I mentioned, the minutes were fine, no problem with the structure. I did have a conversation with Jack about it. If you notice down in the documents that were listed,
Mhm.
there was a bit of a correction that's required down there.
Yeah, I did too much copy and paste and not edited.
Okay, because I was just thrilled to see that, you know, we not only took that under advisement, but we've passed it on.
The very last page.
Right, I haven't read it.
Okay, because those are the first, these are the
These are the
first,
updated.
yes, but these are the first minutes where we're implementing that
Yeah, I
addition.
found it in the January meetings that moving forward.
All right,
Okay,
See that?
So what you see on the board, that would represent the adjustment choice
okay,
as opposed to what we have in hand.
okay.
So these are the actual documents that the board reviewed that night of the meeting.
okay, so I see the first line, we go to, it's February 10th, not January 6th. Second line is something, for each fee schedule draft.
So the topic for any of those minutes, you guys reviewed the board of fee schedule draft.
Right. That's for December 11th, okay, so that's the same. DEP letter, and then draft, okay, so I see we have two lines that we're, one we're adding and one we're making the adjustment.
Yeah, and then in the minutes line, we also, Jack's added the fact that we did also talk about January 8th and January 22nd,
Okay.
not just December 11th.
I gotcha. Okay. Very good. I'm good with that. Again, I was happy to see that we're implementing that new procedure, that addition to our minutes. If that's it, I will take a vote to approve them. And again, we're working on February 12th.
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes of February 12th with the adjustments we just discussed.
Second motion.
All in favor?
Tom, aye?
Alan, aye.
Choice aye.
Very good. All right, moving on to the minutes for Wednesday, February 26, 25. I see nothing that I need to comment on. Again, I noticed that we added the documents that were discussed during the meeting. Joyce or Tom?
Yeah, I read it over, I thought it was fine.
Yeah, there are a couple of little tweaks, and I think
Absolutely.
Jack is prepared to show you where.
Again, it was the documents, the submittals of the meeting, those have been updated. What the meeting. Yeah, we don't have the list of what we went through on the other ones. Do you still have that list?
Well, not formally, but
Did you put it in there?
I didn't highlight it.
Oh, so, yeah, it's, agenda item 7.
7. 7.
We basically,
Okay. Oh, yeah, so the chairman, Greenberg, that was added.
that was added. And it was an added couple sentences on 7B. It was kind of an in-depth conversation that we had in that area, always about 15 minutes in all. There were a couple of points that were probably just summarized, but just
Okay.
point out that we touched on.
Gotcha. All right. Any other discussion on these minutes?
No, I won't be accept the minutes as read. I'll read paperwork over there.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Tom, aye.
Joyce, I.
Al and I.
Thank you, Jeff, for keeping us all caught up.
I'm trying to. Well, it's so much easier when we're not 3 or 4 behind,
Oh, yeah.
just for that general recall of what happened.
Yeah.
When, you know, Jack provides us with the minutes and you read through them, they're familiar. Too much time goes by, it's almost like you're gonna watch the video. All right, so we're gonna go to 4B, discussion of FY '26 budget meeting that we had with the select board and the finance committee on March 5th.
May I say something?
Please.
I thought that the presentation that was done was absolutely superior. And I think that everybody there in that room recognized how brilliant it was, so I'm saying, yeah, amazing.
Yeah, and I actually thought your one-page cheat sheet was a good addition to that.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah,
For people that aren't familiar with all the different things that are in the rest of the presentation.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
So that was a nice addition. I think that
I
was,
thought it was brilliant.
Yeah.
And again, I heard people saying, this is not around the table, you know,
Yeah.
so.
not the first time that's
Not
happened.
No.
It was excellent, wonderful.
Raising the bar there, Jack.
Well, this is my corporate experience from my previous job, so.
Something to be said for the private sector influence, huh?
There you go.
Yeah.
No, that cheat sheet, I think is what, for the first time, initiated some questions from the
Right.
select board without having to go through things
Page by
page
page.
by page. So it was a different presentation,
It was,
but just as effective, because this is the 3rd time you've done this.
correct.
And I like the fact that there was interaction between the select board, the finance committee, and the board of health. That was definitely a plus. And if you remember the previous year, because of scheduling things, we got cut down to about a 2-minute quick presentation, and then we had to get to our meeting.
Correct.
So this, I think, out of the 3 presentations that you've done, this has definitely been the most effective.
Yeah, I didn't shake as much on this one.
You breathe in between.
I did breathe in between.
That's good. That's good.
No, it's become routine.
Oh.
All right. Any other discussion on that? All
It was
right.
a good meeting.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, with the select board and finance committee.
Yeah.
Sounds like we're gonna be tweaking a couple of things with our budget that we want to see, allocated correctly.
No, definitely making forward progress. All right. So we will move on to BOH dumpster permit applications, collaboration, fire code 527.
Go for it, Colleen.
The fire chief, brought to mine and Jack's attention last week, wasn't it? That, he has some jurisdiction over, the smaller dumpsters, 6-yard dumpsters with the Jack.
Correct.
mostly under, the CMR regulations for fire safety, deals with combustibles and, hazardous materials and things like that. So he asked that, when we do receive a permit for those types of dumpsters, that we also collaborate with his office. So Jack and I are taking a look at the current regulations. We're gonna incorporate some language in there, make sure our application, overlaps to the fire department, and we're gonna work with the fire chief on that, just to bring it current, to acknowledge that regulation.
Okay, now, we're talking about the dumpsters that a resident would hire to do a clean out on their property? What about the dumpsters that are stationed full-time around town?
Six yards
Or larger.
or larger, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so it pretty much covers every commercial dumpster.
Yep.
Okay.
So then he's aware of that. I mean, he obviously can see the dumpsters, like he said, but to have the information, like he'd see, Joe Bull from Idaho dumpster. But now he'll have the application with the contact information if he has any additional questions. He may, as part of his permitting process, he may wanna call them and say, okay, I see you applied for a dumpster for, 1 Main Street, what's the scope of work there? Because if it's say a demo, he wouldn't necessarily get that building permit. So he may wanna clarify what's there, and like an old house, you can't obviously dump, an old oil tank in there or things like that. So he just asked that there be some crossover between our two departments, so.
No,
We're
absolutely.
gonna work with them, incorporate, make some adjustments, you guys are gonna have to take a look at them, and the permit application itself. And the chief's gonna work with us, and then we'll have a final product for the board.
Okay, now
and
the
chief.
business, I'll call them commercial dumpsters that already exist. They're permitted annually?
Yep,
Okay, so they will get caught.
Yeah.
Even though they already exist,
mhm,
that they will get picked up in the new renewal permit. So it might take a cycle,
exactly.
but it'll all get on board.
So what Jack and I were talking about is that the ones that we've already permitted, we're gonna give to the chief, and then the chief can, maybe, like I said, call them on the phone, okay, I see you have a dumpster. If it's like for the Muffin House, he maybe just wanna have a conversation with them and to advise them, listen, you can't put oil in there, and things like that. So for the ones we've already permitted, we're gonna give the chief copies of those.
Okay.
Because Berkowitz comes across the street to Ambro.
Yep. There's a lot of dumpsters in town, I'll tell you, because I've been on the prowl.
Well, it's better dumpsters in town than trash on the streets.
Absolutely, but it's not just the food establishments, I mean, there's other dumpsters.
Okay,
Other
so what was the
businesses.
minimum yardage for that?
6 yards.
6 and above, okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So it's an opportunity for the two departments to work together too, so we look forward to it.
And I think over time, that's where they were hoping Mendon's municipal government would go.
It's the only way,
Is, more discussions between departments and more cooperation between departments.
absolutely, we're all
So that
very,
there are no surprises.
we're all on our little horses and we all communicate. That's the only way that would be effective.
No,
Right.
that's actually encouraging that he, reached out to us and wants to partner up on that topic.
Yeah, Jack and I are happy, we're happy to.
All right, anything else on that?
So
Everybody?
you'll see something in the future once we
Yeah.
finalize
Mhm.
the amendment.
Okay, and we'll amend the regulations accordingly.
Yeah, you guys will have to vote on
Right, but we don't have to have a hearing or anything like that, because it's an amendment, right?
You know what?
We're amending them, we're not creating new ones.
No hearing, that's what you're
Yeah,
getting to now.
No
hearing
public hearing.
required.
it.
okay,
But unless we were, as I understand it, unless we were substantially making a major change to a regulation, that's where we probably want to have a hearing.
But I think, once we go, we'll run it by council just to make sure.
okay.
And although it does remind me of something we talked about in the previous meeting, did we not determine that we would anyway locally do a hearing on any changes we made to regulation.
I don't remember, but I think that's why I'm asking the question.
I personally think it's good practice.
I was gonna say,
But that's
you did,
me.
you did this. I do recall that we were gonna do it just to be on the safer side.
Be on the safe side.
Okay, so we could do something like that, 15 minutes prior to
Exactly,
a
a public
scheduled
hearing,
meeting.
that's all it is.
Yeah, so, if the meeting's gonna start at 7, at 6:45, we have the public hearing.
Correct.
And then for the public hearing, we can go right into our meeting.
Correct.
Right, you open the public hearing for, Joe Blow from Idaho, you
Mhm.
close the public hearing, and then you open the regular meeting.
Yeah, no, that's why I'm asking the question. I wanna make sure that we follow the right procedure. It's not something we do all the time, but
Well, it's not so much a procedure, it's just that I think we decided it was the better way to go and consistent way to go to be on this, as Jack said, the safe side. And I think we had agreed, yeah, that's a good protocol to follow.
right, and as we're having the discussion, I'm recalling that.
Yeah.
But if we weren't having the discussion, it would still be back here somewhere.
But then again, it makes it, gives it standing.
Yeah,
That's a good word.
and along with that, the fact that we will do a public hearing, we'll have to do the formal notification.
Right,
Okay,
right.
Right.
That goes along with that.
Yeah, and that's fine.
Which is fine.
Okay. So we're on the right page there.
Correct.
Transparency, right, Colin?
I'm just gonna make a note of that. Well, sometimes it generates appropriate questions,
True.
something we might not have thought of.
I mean, I'm just in favor of when any type of regulation or any type of amendment to a regulation to have a public hearing. I just think it's good practice. to-
Okay. All right. Anything else? No. All right, let's move on to old business, 4549 Uxbridge Road, additional blasting test update.
Get a call.
Jack and I had a conversation with Tom earlier today,
Tom Ryder.
Tom Ryder. Yes, thank you. And, we were talking about our desire, or the board's desire to, engage a hydrogeologist regarding the outcome of the testing. So he's currently working with, a woman named Jessica, and she's gonna be sending us an email. And I don't wanna speak to her email until we receive it, but it may be that in this particular circumstance, that the data may not support additional testing. So, but like I said, I wanna wait until we receive her email, but that was the overall course of the conversation today. But with that, we also, discussed the incorporation of language into our next topic, the well regulations regarding the testing of perchlorate in particular, prior to and post blasting. And to have the requirement, or for the board to consider a requirement that the, person that's doing the blasting will also be required to hire a hydrogeologist, a third party, to review the data. So we discussed incorporating something like that into the well regulations, but also into the blasting regulations that I'm working on now, to have that as part of those regulations. Because in this area, there's a couple of public water supplies that do have perchlorate in them. And we're not hydrogeologists, so we don't know how, those plumes travel. So it's something that, Tom felt that we should also incorporate into the regulations. So we had a long conversation about that earlier today, and that's the course, that we're on right now. And we're just waiting for this individual from Ty and Bond, Jessica, to get back to us. Tom was gonna she's gonna reach out to Jack tomorrow.
So she is a hydrogeologist?
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure she wasn't just
Yes.
a secretary hanging around.
Yeah. And she's gonna reach out to Jack tomorrow, and then we'll have, something hopefully more, firm and for discussion by the board at our next meeting, but that was the course of the conversation that I got out of it anyway, and then more importantly, the incorporation of the well testing for blasting within our well regulations, and then blasting regs. Tom, myself and Jack discussed that a little bit more, and Tom's also gonna get me some information. I've been doing some research and just picking, few things here and there to start to draft up a regulation for the board to consider.
Anything else?
No,
All right, I'm not quite sure if now or B is more appropriate for me to tell you guys what I found out. So I'm gonna go anyway,
Go for it.
because it may help us with B. I told you that I knew of a gentleman who had problems with his well after the neighbor did some blasting
Yeah.
on Blackstone Street. I had the opportunity to talk with him today to get a few more details on what happened. Because, I never really followed it up. I wasn't involved with the Board of Health when this happened, and I just had heard that the two neighbors had a disagreement. This goes back probably to the late 80s, within 100 feet of his existing well, which was perfectly fine. The neighbor was doing some decent amount of blasting. All right, in my judgment, it was more than just one shot. He left in the morning and everything was fine. He had a newborn baby at the hospital. He came home and the water was rusty orange. They had it tested. It was high in iron and high in manganese. Again, they had lived there for a few years and never had this found.
Right.
Had a lawyer, talked to a well guy, got some kind of a monetary settlement to try to fix this situation. If you're looking at the house, this was the well on the right side of the house. Short story, he ended up drilling 2 more wells at different depths, and nothing improved. Abandoned the first well, abandoned well number 3, sounds like settled on well number 2, which was the deepest of all the wells. Ended up with a extensive filtration system, and things have never really been the same since. The filter managed to temporarily take care of the problem. Almost sounded like he went to a more extensive filter system. But never really 100% back to where it was. It ruined all the bathroom fixtures and things like that because they all picked up
The rust.
The iron, yep.
so that he spent hours and hours and hours taking them apart, cleaning them, flushing everything, putting them back together again. He said when he talks about it, his blood pressure goes up all these years later.
It's damaging.
So I told him what we were working on, and I asked him if he wanted to come in and speak to us. He said that the more he talks about it, the higher his blood pressure gets. So I said that I would, convey it to the board because I had mentioned it, but obviously not a really good outcome, and a huge expense. I mean, we're talking, 2 wells, 1 or 2 filtration systems to try to get the best out of 3 wells on a relatively, I'm gonna say an average size property.
Even more reason to have a regulation. The other thing I was gonna say, not to interrupt you,
No,
but I don't
please.
want to forget, is also to ban the use of perchlorate as a blasting agent.
So it's that detrimental.
It is, yeah.
When we were looking for other well regulations in town, there was one, I forget what town it was, that specifically says any blasting cannot use chlorine at all, period.
Okay, and
When you were looking at regulations,
from other towns,
From-
Massachusetts.
in blasting regulations or well regulations?
The
What were you
one,
looking at?
the one of the blasting regulations that we found from, Merrimack banned
Okay.
the use of.
All right, because it was my understanding, I think when Tom first brought blasting regulations might be coming down the road up. I didn't think there were many towns that had separate blasting regulations. Okay, all right, so I understood that correctly.
Yeah, I've been going through the, CMR regulations, some research on just, I'm not sure if I have it here, just different, impacts of perchlorate on the environment, you know, as it relates to blasting, or in our case too, you know, we're still in a drought, and last year, had a severe drought, and it's probably why in some of those homes that were tested, you would see, that they had the, testing for, the levels had increased a little bit here and there because we had no rain. You know, if you don't realize that, you know, I mean, animal waste, fireworks that go off that contain perchlorate, and when we don't have any rain, it sits there on the soil, and then it gets absorbed into, you know, the on-site wells and things like that. When we have rain, you don't realize that it gets washed away, you know, so, the impact, the drought impact is tremendous as well, and I think that we had all of those mechanisms in place at the same time last year. You know, so I think that maybe impacted some of those results as well, and we talked with Tom about that, a little bit, today as well. So even more to your point, you know, to try to avoid detrimental impact from blasting on abutting properties, that this gentleman here, you know, incurred tremendous expense, you know?
Right.
So if we have regulations in place and these requirements and analysis by, you know, hydrogeologists, we're in fact helping protect the abutters.
And what was the distance between the well that he was blasting?
I want to say the original distance between where they were blasting and his original well was like 100 feet.
Yeah, which is really too close, really, very much.
well, and the other thing too is, timing of when that project took place was 40 years ago,
Well,
Late 80s?
like I said, I'm figuring late 80s.
30 something.
I remember the project going on. I was living on the street at the time.
The only
So-
reason I mention the time is that, I just
Things
wondered
have
since
changed,
then,
yeah.
have things changed with regard to blasting requirements and the way they blast versus the way they did it 30, 40,
Back in the day.
50 years ago. And so just that alone, maybe,
Right.
things have maybe improved with the industry.
I'll tell you, I was impressed with the recordings of the blastings and the detail and the summaries for each individual blast. I mean, truly remarkable, truly remarkable.
Seismograph information, I
Yeah.
thought was very
All of it.
good to have, because something like that would really let somebody gauge, you know, now you're talking about the vibration
Right.
and the element of how the earth could
Right.
shift.
Mhm.
And I don't know if they did seismograph type.
They did, and I believe he mentioned that during our conversation, but there was no pre-blast well testing or post-blast
I'd be curious to,
testing. I don't know, actually, the blasting company still exists,
good.
from what I understand, that did the blasting.
I'd be curious to see the seismograph information.
So I wonder if that is in their archive somewhere.
Just a comparison to what we.
And what was the reason that he was doing that? You know,
Totally stripped the pine grove that he was living in and built a monster home on the property.
oh, so this was a new well that was going in,
No,
no?
no. The person that I'm talking about that was affected It was his existing well and existing house.
Right, but what I'm saying is, why was the
Because it was the neighbor,
neighbor doing a new well?
because the neighbor wanted to completely clear the pine grove he was living in, and probably the square footage of the house increased tremendously. So he was adding on to the original home.
Right.
So it was all, you know, he had to do a foundation and blast all the ledge and
Did that person end up with the same problems with his well?
I don't know, that homeowner doesn't live there now.
No.
So
I'd be
I
curious.
have no idea if he
Yeah.
caused himself
Yeah,
any issues. But
I'm curious.
if we were to go back in the records as to what was there and what stands there today, it was going from a shed
Yeah.
to a castle.
Yeah.
So it was an extensive project. It took a long time to completely level this piece of land so that you could build on it. But I'm glad that we had that discussion and I was able to recall something went on at that address.
Yep.
Okay, if there's anything else on A, all right, we're gonna roll into 5B, Mendon Private Well Regulations Update, please.
All right, so besides what we already discussed, I did give Tom Ryder some of the definitions that you wanted to put into the well
Oh,
regulations,
thank you.
from other towns' regulations that would be good to have in ours. I also let Tom know to keep a spot open for blasting regs, once the time comes to include them for that verbiage. So Tom is aware of that as well. So no new updates yet, but he does know, when he was talking to Colleen and I, he does know that the well regs that he's working on will be coming up very soon for us to take a look at.
And also the placeholder for
ADUs
ADUs.
as well, that was already mentioned to him.
Okay, good.
Yeah, there was a lot of conversation today. I haven't had a chance to all the emails, but there was a meeting too and some pretty informative materials that Emily sent over regarding ADUs and the impact on Title V. And then within the partnership today, there was a lot of emails. Did you get a chance to read them?
Some of them, yeah.
A lot of discussion about the impact. So the town of Westboro in particular is going to be adopting their own, and this is more on a zoning component, but they're gonna be adopting their own regulations to limit ADUs to one per property, because right now it's unclear, so you could build multiple ADUs on.
Yeah, I believe
a
the
plot
state
of land.
regulation is calling for 2.
Yep,
What is
so,
an ADU?
accessory,
Dwelling unit.
dwelling unit. Meaning, because of the housing crisis, if you have, the square footage on your lot, you can build another house on your lot, bypass zoning regulations. It has to be it can only be 75% of your current square footage of your house. But what it doesn't address is multiple, well, it does say 2, but individual towns can regulate that and be more strict. But the other thing that the town of Westboro is concerned about is that they're gonna use them as bed and breakfast. So if the town doesn't adopt their own regulation,
At our previous town meeting, the planning board addressed that.
yes, I spoke with Dylan,
Okay,
because I had read this article in the Sunday paper, and I was like, holy, you
yeah,
know, and
Getting off topic, I'm sorry.
sorry, yep, you're
my
right.
apologies.
My apologies.
Okay. Is that it on 5B?
It is for me.
Okay. We will move on to Board of Health admin updates, please. Eversource property update.
I did speak with Peter Bowman, and Vice Chairman Fickner was in the office with me when I spoke to him on the phone. He's still trying to getting pushback from the bigwigs at Eversource, not agreeing to pay for the removal of the mattresses that the town has paid for. He will continue to try and ask, he said that he asked me to send him the previous emails that included the charge that was from the town. I also sent him the email where he says the check was in the mail. So now I sent those out to him today, so now just a matter of seeing what's gonna happen.
Right.
Okay. V&A additional services update?
I spoke with Deb, Jack and I spoke with her yesterday, and, she's happy to, do a BP clinic at the senior center, to offset the, in addition to the V&A one. So we're just gonna work out dates. Amy was there also, so she's thrilled about it. And so they will get their additional BP clinic through, our partnership.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Yep.
Cool.
So it'll be twice a month now.
Yep, yeah, Deb's
And this is Deb.
thrilled, yep.
Amy was it's like happy to catch Amy. I was leaving the office today and she spoke briefly and she was mentioned she had met Deb. Was very happy with the discussion.
Good. Yep.
Got a lot out of it.
Yeah, the three of us, we talked about it, on a topic that's coming up
That's awesome.
after the not mentioning.
Would it be appropriate to send a note to town administrator and the board of health, board of select board?
Well, we're going to, once we get the dates,
Okay,
from Deb. I mean, we can get, well, actually Jeremy knows, because Jeremy was right there.
okay.
Yeah,
Just that was something that came up within our budget discussion
yep,
that we were working on when we were discussing the V&A contract.
Yeah, I believe it was Jason Cooter.
And now, because we're a member of the partnership,
yep,
here's another added benefit
that's right,
that we have,
yes.
along with the relationships.
Yeah, we could just send them a hey, heads up, good
That,
idea.
not only did we get it resolved
Right.
to help the senior center's request, but we got it resolved because of a prior relationship
Mhm.
that, a partnership that we're involved in.
So you look at the craft of the letter versus just sending an email.
I'm thinking of a note, just a, hey, by the, even if it's an FYI,
Yep,
we got this taken care of, and we got it taken care of because we're a member of this partnership. And the relationships that exist within that partnership at no additional cost to the town of Mendon.
that's right.
I mean, I guess what I'm trying to stress is how important those partnerships and those relationships are. And the people
The
that
benefits that,
have those
Yes.
relationships, where
Yes.
you can dial somebody up and say, hey, this is what I got going on, what do you think?
well, through that
And someone
package,
steps forward.
yeah, we have public health nurses, we have health inspectors, we have an epidemiologist, we have a social worker,
Mhm.
and all of this benefits every single community within that partnership, and there's no financial impact on the taxpayer.
So like I
At the
said,
local
I
level.
think that is how it should be expressed.
And kudos to Colleen for the recommendation.
No, absolutely.
For what?
Very good.
You made
Recommended,
the recommendation.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Bravo.
Who says it isn't who you know?
well, it's all
That's a
part of,
compliment.
what do we call it when Jason sent that nice email? It was all part of Team Mendon.
Team and
There you go.
That's what we said when we responded back.
What do you want?
Jason sent a, email about employee appreciation.
Jeremy.
Jason?
Jason Cuda?
Jeremy.
I mean, Jeremy.
Oh, Jeremy, okay.
Yeah.
Who's Jason?
Sorry.
No, no worries.
Jeremy, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
No, we just said it's all part of Team Mendon.
Very good. Excellent. Okay, C, Emergency Operations Center update.
So Tom and Joyce says, even when you guys were getting the drill alerts, that was because you guys were not part of the secondary contacts list, but you're now updated, so you're both now secondary contacts. Everyone gets drills, moving
We're on
on.
the list.
You're on the list. So that is now updated.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Tight tank maintenance plans update.
All right, so as you remember, Tom wanted, Vice Chairman Fickner wanted to mention this as a follow-up when we were doing the septic type tanks around the lake. So I just wanted to bring up that we sent out first notification for tight tanks on April 2023, a second reminder in September of 2023, and again in April of 2024. 114 letters have gone out. We've received 77 responses, so that's a 68% response rate. And I have 37 of those, 114, no response.
So, from a standpoint of a response, that means that they provided us what we were asking.
That level, yes, that information returned back to us, that one.
Awesome. Great.
So that's just an update.
So maybe we need to go knocking on doors and say,
Those 37 properties.
uh,
The weather's getting warm,
Mm-hmm.
we're going on a field trip.
on the lake with a picnic.
I have that.
Yeah, I know someone with a pontoon boat, you can come in from the water. You can sneak up.
And ask who they get.
Okay,
Whatever.
all right, does it warrant a notice, a letter to those
Another
37 addresses first,
Another one?
before a home visit?
Mm.
Well, I don't want to waste postage again
Mhm.
for a fourth time. So I'm thinking we got the door knockers.
Oh, yeah, oh, good
Let's
idea.
start using those little door knockers. Nobody's home, we hear about such and such.
Right, we can go do that.
Okay,
Field trip
I like
when we
that.
have the knockers,
Yeah.
right, I forgot. Good
No.
idea, Jack, see?
Yeah.
That's, you get one a month and that's it. I'm
I
not a good idea for the rest of the month.
would
I
say
like
that,
Yeah.
so we'll do door knockers.
All right. We'll go to E, PHEP, requests for Q4.
I'm gonna let Tom speak on that one. But Jim Fickner.
Well, I just asked Jack to include it as an agenda item, only because, I think you folks are probably getting it as well too, and I don't know if you get them. But we get these emails on occasion from, I think the DPH regarding, the FEP program. And in particular, they recently sent out at the end of February, looking for us to submit or do a survey for what they call the EAT, it's an EAT request, which is equipment acquisitions and training.
Mhm.
So if we had any needs or desire for any, this is all in regard to emergency preparedness, we would submit the survey. I guess there's a couple of things that have to go along with that. We have to provide a letterhead, a formal quote, if you will. So I guess the question would be, do we even have any need for any emergency preparedness items? Would we even be participating?
I haven't seen the need, because they ask us every quarter on the each request,
Right.
so I haven't ordered anything, so me and Colleen went up there to see what we had upstairs at the annex building. The only thing that you can really think of is the screens.
Screens.
You wanna explain what that is?
So they're just, the trifold screens, and and they're on wheels, and you can, create a privacy area if they need be, like during a clinic or whatnot. I have 3 in Blackstone, and, the other thing too, I don't know if the board is aware, but we also have a trailer that is used through the partnership. It's housed in Blackstone, it's inspected regularly, but within that trailer too are cots and blankets and pillows and emergency supplies that would be used should we ever have an emergency. That's available to the town of Mendon as well if we ever have, a crisis. But in looking at everything, we have the same thing, except for all I said to Jack today was the screens. They're nice to have. We've used them during BP clinics, and also because Deb is also gonna do a prescription review with the seniors while she's doing the
Oh,
BP.
excellent.
Yeah.
So sometimes seniors, they don't want you to know, other people to know what they're taking,
Yeah,
and you
yeah.
can use one of those screens.
Right.
That's the only thing that I really saw that we need.
Okay, I remember, years ago, Missy had a pretty good handle on that and just kind of handled whatever it was she felt that we needed, you know, through discussions with other Board of Health departments as to what, and I know we've, you know, got different types of signage and things
Oh,
like that.
yeah.
We
It's
might
still
have,
up there.
yeah, we
Yeah.
might have even got the original iPads
Don't we still use those?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we use those.
Yeah.
through that program.
Yep.
What did I see? Was there something that came through our emails that had to do with if there, an emergency plan, if we were, they had no power? I thought something came through. Now, I know we have the generator for the police department. Does that cover town hall also?
I'm gonna say no.
I don't know.
Because I think when we lost power in the hall, usually they had people go home, right? In the
It
past.
don't work.
Yeah, that's true too.
Yeah.
Okay, so the only thing that I could think of, if such a item is available, is, I know,
Portable generator.
yeah.
We
and I-
have one, yep.
Okay, I know Honda makes a nice, very convenient, mobile, dependable gas-powered generator that's quiet. And again, it's easy to move around. So if we were in an emergency situation, that might be something, provided it wasn't too big, you know, something that you could throw in the back of your truck or mine, or even the trunk of a, you know, good-sized car, in case we had to go somewhere where there wasn't gonna be power available.
Yep.
And we needed, you know, to light up a temporary structure and charge our phones, et cetera. That's the only thing off the top of my head I can think of, and it has something to do with maybe even a example of a drill that came through on our emails.
Oh, yeah, we did, we had a recent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it mentioned, you know, power was gonna be out for a week. So that kind of got me thinking along those lines, and I wasn't sure if the generator covered the whole complex.
I'm gonna say no, because Tom was right. I think Jeremy sent us home when we lost power.
Okay.
But I'll double check.
I like, again, I don't know if something like that is available.
Yeah, we can find out, I mean, we can ask, Jamie too.
I understand there's a new contact now involved, I guess, with this
Mhm.
particular aspect, Sarah.
Yes, I remember seeing that.
No, I worked with her last year as well.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, they're on contract, so they lose their job but get rehired the following year.
okay. Okay. Anything else on that topic? No? All right, let's go to the Mendon Old landfill update.
I did speak with John Dudley, the highway surveyor. He said that he will take care of it as soon as the ground thaws.
All right, so that's, we're talking about the catch basin.
Catch basin correct.
Okay. What's your tomorrow morning look like?
What you want to do?
Would it be appropriate for us to go down and do some additional measurements on those sinkholes? So that I can calculate how much material is needed? And we can try to get that done ASAP?
Yes.
And try to, you know, not lean on the highway department for that particular item. But yet, I would love to be able to report back that it was taken care of.
We would like that too.
All right, so I'll reach out to you in the morning.
Yep.
And I'll gather whatever measurement tools I feel that we need. You know, other than seeing pictures, I'm not familiar with them. And let's see if we can't get those measured. Now, do we have to give any kind of notice to the property?
We usually call Cynthia.
Yeah, Cynthia.
let her know.
Okay. So let's either call her or send her an email.
I'll call her first thing in the morning.
Okay,
I have her phone number on my.
all right, fantastic. And just let her know that, you know, we're gonna
Yeah,
just
that
be
will,
taking some measurements and let's see if we can't get that checked off the list in the very near future.
Cool. Very appreciative of your contributions, Mr. Chairman.
Hey, whatever we need to do to get the job done.
During winter time.
It's not winter anymore.
No, I know, it's getting there.
Winter went away quick.
Well, if you're looking for an inexpensive laborer, let me know.
Excuse me?
If you're looking for an inexpensive laborer,
For this project, or you wanna come with me during the day? But my plan was that I was hoping that maybe we could all kind of jump in. I'll bring my little machine down after I go to the loom, get it all
Yeah, it's
spread,
we're
you
gonna make
know,
a
rough
quick work
spread,
out
and
of it.
then we can break it out.
We'll do a hold down.
There you go. And we can have lunch and we can check it off the list.
Many used to say, many hands make light work.
That's what I say all the time, do
There
my
you go.
quilting, ladies.
All right, moving on. I know this was a two-page agenda. We're gonna go to health agent updates, please.
So yesterday, I had the pleasure of going out with the rep from the MHOA. And we, it was part of the training for the tobacco compliance checks. We went out and did an educational check, a thorough educational check, 5 hours.
I guess.
Yeah. And, but it was all part of the training so that we can, you know, we'll have an in-house person that will be able to perform these checks. But this first check was, as always, for education. So myself, Kathleen, and another health agent from Spencer, Lisa, who wanted to also, who wanted to tag along and learn herself. So we went out and visited all the tobacco establishments with the exception of the new one because it's not open yet. And we went through in great length the education process. We went through the signage that was in the stores. We went through the tobacco regulations so that they make sure that they understand. We went through Mass General Law. We went through the Fenway regulation. We went through our regulations. And spent a significant amount of time in each establishment doing that. And a couple of establishments did not have the manufacturer letters for their products that they were selling, saying that they don't contain a flavor, because of course that's banned in Massachusetts. So there were 3 establishments. They had them on email, but they did not have them in the store. And now Kathleen, who's from the MHOA, said that they needed to have them physically in the store. They couldn't just show you on an email. And I had told one of those establishments prior to knowing this that they could. So 3 of them, when the reports come back, you're gonna see, and it's considered a violation. But what I'm going to ask the board to think about is the fact that we went out as part of an education yesterday to make sure that they had all the tools in their shed for compliance. We handed them out additional signage if they needed it. All of them were very good with the signage. The majority of our vendors had all of the manufacturer letters. But it was signage like this that has to be in every store. They didn't have it, we provided it for them. These in here made sure that, you know, there's a rule, it's 4 feet or higher. It can't be lower, it has to be, you know, within that, right, it can't be turned sideways. So most of our establishments, I'm happy to report from working with them for other issues that we may have had with them, all had this signage out. All were, when we were in there, of course, patrons were coming in and they were asking for IDs. It was just 3 establishments that did not have the manufacturing letters. One is because I told that establishment they could have it, because you're talking about, you know, 500 pages. But now they have to put it in a booklet. Matter of fact, 2 of them, they sent them to us. One came in today, I'm going tomorrow morning to 2 of those establishments and they'll have them there. The rest of the establishments had them. So it was a great outing, it was a great opportunity. And the reason why we spent so much time is to make sure, like I said, they have the tools in the shed, and you know, guys know how I feel about education, because the compliance checks will be forthcoming. That is the next phase of my training.
When you were listing off the different things, the different regulations, did I hear something called Fenway?
Yeah,
I'm not familiar with that.
yeah, so that, it's a law because of Fenway that regardless of whether or not we all look that we're over 21, does not matter. That's the law.
Okay. Thank you
Everybody
for-
has to show
It
their,
doesn't matter.
right,
And older gentleman came into one of the establishments yesterday while we were there, and the clerk said, you know, and he was not happy whatsoever.
did you have a discussion with them and, or anything, and say, you know, these are the laws, and unfortunately,
Well, let the clerk handle it first, and, you know, and the thing is like, and afterwards we said to the clerk, you know, safety first. You know, if this individual is that upset and it's, you know, I'm not saying break the law, but if this individual is that upset, you know, it's your safety first. So then explain to the gentleman afterwards, but he didn't matter.
Wow. No,
Didn't matter.
that's like starting a fight next to a police officer.
But, you
What
know,
are you thinking?
I personally, I can understand that,
Okay.
that viewpoint. Just because I think of reasonability here,
right,
and I get where you're trying to take the subjective element away from the clerks and the people in the store so that there's no question, so you have to create this. But reasonable people would say, you're over 21.
Mm-hmm.
You're close.
very smart.
He's a schmoozer. That's the Irish.
Oh, yeah, no.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yes, I
So I get this.
I thought the
gentleman's-
same thing in myself, actually, when we talked about it before, that, you know, I mean, really, if there's somebody, I would say, you see somebody that's 30 and under, then that would be, but to try to make somebody that's 80 years old, I mean, it doesn't make sense, but, you
It's the
know,
law.
yeah, right,
And as a, you know, and there's the permit holder and it's their responsibility.
right,
Well, in today's world, I can think of many situations where I've had to transact some form of business with someone, and they need to take another copy of my ID. And they know who I am.
right.
And they probably have a copy of my ID from 12 or 13 months previous when we did some sort of a transaction.
Mhm.
But I understand in today's world, these are things that are required for one reason or another. And I have to go to my wallet and fish out my license, and that's just the way it is. I mean,
Yeah.
there's insurance fraud, there's, you know, identity theft.
Well, out of curiosity, does anybody buy alcohol at all in here?
I do.
Do they ask if you have to show ID? No, you just purchase it and just go, alright?
I don't buy it often, but I want to say, the one that used to be Pop and Cook,
Liquor World,
they needed my ID.
yep, they card everyone.
And I
Well,
believe they.
I
had a
shouldn't say
little-
that, when I was
electro-
there,
Yeah,
there were multiple transactions going on, and
yeah, and I believe they had the little electronic reader
yes, they do.
that like unlocks the register
Oh, yes,
once
they
it registers, correct?
Are they supposed to cut out?
Well, I'm just thinking like, when
Is it the
people like,
same rule as tobacco?
I don't know,
I don't know, like when I'm in a grocery store, if people in front of me are buying alcohol, they always say, I need your license, so they punch in the birthday
Yeah.
at the supermarket, so I didn't know if that was an automatic.
With those new systems, I'll call them, and we had the discussion where DB Mart put one in, remember the owner said
Yes, they
that,
should.
I'm not doing this anymore,
Yeah,
we're putting one in.
yeah.
It protects them.
Mhm.
Now, if I'm using a fake ID and it goes through the system and checks out, they're not liable. I was using an illegal ID.
Yep.
So, I mean, it protects their interest.
Yeah.
To check IDs however they do it.
And to amend my statement, I will say I've never not been asked. what I'm saying is that there are places that I've gone to, they don't ask, and there have been places that have asked.
Mhm.
So, but it's not a consistent.
But no matter, so, I'll be on to the next phase of the,
Tobacco,
Yeah.
tobacco row.
the compliance now. I have to, get hold of Sarah, which I plan on doing tomorrow, to complete that. And then we'll have our compliance checks.
Great.
So after the compliance checks come the stings?
That's the compliance check.
Oh, okay, okay, no, just,
Yeah, the
Okay.
compliance check.
all right.
So now that, now I feel good about spending the time with the vendors yesterday and making sure and providing them and just reiterating the importance of, of compliance and that it's their duty and responsibility as a permit holder, to adhere to the town of Mendon's tobacco regulations. We just, like I said, made sure they had all the tools in their shed. And it's very important to have that process first.
Yeah, no, that's an excellent approach. And I mean, thank you for taking on that responsibility. I know you like learning about
Yes.
things and you like having certifications and things like that, but it's a big help to us. And, and it's a
To help
benefit
to the
for the
community.
community, right?
That's it, our motto, right, safety first.
Right.
Yep, so now, and also too, so then you just, reaffirm that relationship with the individual vendors. You know what I mean? I'm the face for the board, Jack too, but I'm out in the field, I'm the face, they know me. Every place we went in yesterday, And even, Kathleen and the other girl, Lisa, they're like, boy, everybody knows you, huh? I said, I guess so, which isn't a bad thing.
No, it's.
No, it's because you're doing your job.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And bravo.
Yeah, so that part of it is complete and I feel very good about it. I'm gonna look forward to going into these 3 establishments and seeing their book for the manufacturer letters, and they know now that they have to remain on site.
Awesome.
The COVID-19 flu vaccine clinic in Northbridge, I think, Tom, you had asked for an update on it, so
I was just curious how that went.
yeah, we spoke with Jack Sullivan, epidemiologist, and he said that he had 30 people pre-register, but only 20 people showed up. 16 people got the COVID vax, including 10 who got both, and 4 got the flu vax only.
Good.
So that was his update, and they had put it out there, they had a QR code, he sent us the information on it and the application that they had, that they blasted out to everyone, they had the gift card notification to try and alert
Okay,
people that
okay.
knew the vaccine.
Was it the first 100?
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Means they have extra gift cards left over.
That's for the next project.
Yeah, that, exactly. Yesterday, we had the Narcan training upstairs. It was, great. Deb did a great presentation. Everybody that was up there, really appreciated the opportunity to learn about Narcan and the history of it and how to use it. A lot of the, employees in the town were there. And they also got an opportunity, and Amy got an opportunity to meet Deb, and that's how we hatched
Oh, that's
the
right, good.
DP clinic conversation.
That's the way to do it.
So we're looking forward to, with Jen, the HR person, she's looking forward to additional training, so the employees. We're kicking around a couple of other ideas, so stay tuned for that.
Awesome.
And,
Yeah, I'd like to be involved in that too.
okay,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Did they give away bags like
Yeah.
did that one too?
Yeah.
Samples?
And we also, Jack and I, while we were there, it was like, bing, the light bulb went off, for the, beach this year.
right, having, yeah,
Yep, so we're gonna put 2 kits up there.
good
Excellent.
idea.
Yep.
Hope we never need them.
Exactly.
Exactly, but
But it's better to be,
But you know, it's not just, you know, maybe illegal drug use, it's also, you know, parents and grandparents, if, you know, you figure, oh, geez, did I take my BP medication? Oh, you know what, I'll just take it again, and then next thing you know, you have a digger. You know, this way here, they have, you know, it on site, just at the senior center, or anywhere, to be honest with you, people forget, oh, did I take my medication? Some people don't realize that you can't mix certain things together.
Yeah.
You know, so it's not just, you know, illegal drug use.
Yeah, I didn't think of that side of it until someone brought it up.
Mm-hmm.
And then when someone brought it up, it's like, oh, yeah.
Or
I mean,
even
that makes a lot of sense, that, you know,
a little kid on the beach, you know, the pill falls and he thinks it's an M&M, or she thinks it's an M&M. You know, so better safe
yeah,
than
there
sorry.
are accidental
That's right.
situations where,
That's right.
if you have it, you could, score.
You know, and we have the kits, they're free for us through the partnership. Why not spread them around? You know?
good thinking.
Well, speaking of the beach then, from a training perspective, we get involved with training their, say their lifeguard people, like they.
Yes, well, they're gonna have, CPR and first aid training.
Yep.
Also too, Jack and I were talking about this with the concession stand, and we spoke with Dan too. We personally feel that, anyone who is handling food at the concession stand should attend at the very least the food handlers course. So we're working with, someone that I know, and we're gonna have a huge class upstairs. We're also gonna put it out to the restaurants. If they have any of their new people, at the very least, they have to have the food handlers, and they have to have the food manager on every shift.
Mhm.
But I think anyone, whether it's a volunteer organization, who's handling food, and you know, whether it's charity and you're giving it to the public or for sale, you need to attend that class.
Good.
And is it, when you said CPR, I mean, that's what I did for years here. I did CPR. I don't know if any of you had ever known that, but I did taught CPR to everybody in Christendom and Uxbridge and around. I had my own doll and everything, and did the whole.
Yeah, we just did the CPR.
Mhm.
We just did the CPR. We just did this.
Training.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's what, and,
CPR and AEG training.
yeah, we just did that.
Because to me, that's so important to, you know.
So was it the lieutenant that did it?
Lieutenant of the fire department, yeah.
Yep,
2
Yeah.
lieutenants.
yeah, we just, a few weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
So they're gonna do that. Dan, has requested that for the concession stand workers as well.
Yeah, no, that's great.
And then, the Narcan, we'll incorporate the Narcan training into that too.
Things have changed dramatically since I did it though, because we did CPR, we did oral.
Right, yeah, they
But
don't,
they don't do that
No.
anymore, you know,
no, they don't.
Now they have.
right? And I taught Heimlich too.
Yeah.
And, oh, that's another story about Johnny Quirk up there, he called me the Board of Health bitch.
And then we have we're caught up on our brick and mortar food establishments.
Oh, good,
But now we're starting with
the trucks.
Yeah.
The mobile people.
oh yeah,
Yeah, they're
they're coming in droves. Residential ones too, have you noticed that, Chuck?
Yeah, we have a few more than we did
Yeah.
last year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you mentioned that last meeting,
Yeah.
that there was, an increase in residential
Yeah.
kitchens.
So we're, you know, on top of everything else, we're dealing with that as well, but not from the table.
No, that, all good
Yep.
stuff. All right, anything else?
Nope,
All right,
I'm good.
topics not anticipated in 48 hours. Joyce, anything?
No,
All right, we'll move along to good and welfare for the board. Joyce, anything?
no,
All right, I got,
I got something here.
hit me.
Well, I did reach out to our health inspectors from the Blackstone Valley Public Health. I'm trying to get a meeting of everybody at the same time, so the board members can see who they are and introduce themselves and talk back and forth. I'm still working on that.
No,
Big-
that would be great. Like I told you, Steve was the one that waved to me today. I don't know if I've ever talked to him face to
Oh,
face.
Stevie doing it?
Yeah,
Oh, Steve, he's so,
yeah.
Oh, my God, yeah,
I don't think I've ever talked to him face to face, and if I have, I can't recall.
great guy.
No, he's been on our meeting one time
Yeah.
online
Yeah.
with the board.
And I can't see that.
Huh?
The cotton will be here first.
Yeah, they caught him, yeah, it's been going on.
Great guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
right,
I don't think there
I
was,
know him, if I engineering
Yeah.
background, and get
Yeah.
him started.
He is,
Yeah.
he's one of.
there was
the
some,
ones.
work being
Really
done at
good.
43
So I think he should be paying.
Blackstone Street, so
Yeah.
I wondered, I asked Jack if we were aware of it.
Mhm.
All right, so the good and welfare for the board, I just wanted to, share that, you know, as Colleen mentioned earlier, we're still in a, drought situation,
Yeah.
in our area. Something to be aware of, we don't know if it's gonna affect, test results, or if our community is gonna have any issues with any, wells going dry, et cetera, so, something to watch. And the National Weather Service doesn't, see anything coming down the pike that would resolve that. Because we're naturally going into the seasons where after spring,
Summer.
summertime comes and we see less opportunity for
We don't have
recharge.
spring anymore.
I know,
Usually it was like 2 weeks in summer.
right?
The other thing, measles. and I
Oh,
know we
yes, I
had,
read that today,
It was down in the Texas area,
yeah.
and they were having, you know, their share of issues down there. But we did receive some communication,
Mhm.
and some recommendations, from the state.
Yep.
And I was actually trying to think back as to when I may have got mine, because I'm after 1957, but before 1968. That was kind of a parameter where the vaccine, changed.
Mhm.
So that was interesting reading and, you know, obviously something to be aware of.
Mhm.
For those of us that were born in between those two dates.
Mhm.
Or didn't go to school where they made you, as a nursing student, that made you have all your vaccinations.
There you go.
Oh, I got them all, believe me.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I know I got them all, but I don't know which one I got. I don't remember.
Well, I know which one I got, because
Okay.
I'm older than you.
Okay,
Me too.
I don't remember.
Mhm.
Not
Also,
much, though.
there was some talk out there about Girl Scout cookies
Mhm.
containing, I forget what it was, but they were hazardous. And I did hear today that that was clarified, that was cleared up.
What was this from?
I don't remember if it was additives or ingredients, something that wasn't approved.
In the Girl Scout cookies
Yeah.
that you buy?
Yep.
When
Yeah.
at the stands,
Yep.
like when I went to Cumbies,
Yeah, yeah.
not too long ago, and bought a few boxes of.
And I-
12 bucks.
Uh-oh.
And I was in Shaw's and bought them to have the kids.
But by the end of the day, that was cleared up in some fashion.
So there's
The
no
other,
issues?
Hmm?
There's no issues with the cookies?
No, it was, they supported what was in the cookies and it was okay.
Okay.
That's the short of it.
I'm a little worried.
Well, no, they have them, and I'm
Yeah,
fine.
we all love Girl Scout cookies.
So,
The other thing was, if, just a reminder, because I know I haven't done mine yet, conflict of interest review is due by the end of the month.
yes, I've done mine.
Okay. I haven't done mine for 2025.
When's that?
Where do I do it?
Online.
Usually get the email reminding you to do it, no?
Yeah,
I didn't get any.
it would come from Ellen.
Yeah, well,
Well, it depends on when she did hers, because what is it, 2 years is good for?
yeah, it's a
Yeah,
cycle.
the long,
So she
long
may have
version.
done it, she may be the off year.
Yeah, the long version is good for 2 years, but there is a short version that you're supposed to do on the opposite year.
Well, when I handed my paper.
Yeah, ask Ellen, she'll tell
Right,
you.
yeah, because I
Yeah.
did it, and I can just send her a message
Yeah.
with the gift.
Last year, I don't even know I don't even think you have to send it. Once it's in the database,
Yeah, she said once it's in the, because I confirmed with Ellen,
It's not like the old
Once it's
days where
done,
we used to have
it's
to print
automatically
it, bring it
uploaded.
to her. Yeah, once you're in, you're in. But I know last year I did the short version.
Am I safe?
So this year I'm
You should
doing
be safe.
the long version.
Yeah,
Okay,
Are you checking your Board of Health emails?
Yeah,
All right.
that's it for me.
I'm good.
Next meeting,
March 26th.
time,
I don't know if you want to do later or earlier, keep it at 6.
I can probably do 6 one more time,
Okay,
if that's good with everybody.
Mhm.
works for me.
so March 26th at 6 PM.
And we could be in the same spot we are now, if budget meetings and stuff going
They
on.
should be done by then.
Okay. So, that'll be a TBD. Excellent, thank you very much for everything you do. We're gonna, have a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn this meeting.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Al and I.
Joe's aye.
All right, thank you, everybody.
Good night, everyone.